All right, we're live. Hell yeah! So this should be good. This is a new feature of YouTube that allows you to go live and thereby save all the time uploading and shit like that. Which for me sounds fucking amazing. So welcome to Bhagavad Gita class on Thursday, April 13th. The moon is waning at this time, but we're not going to stop. We're not going to let that stop us from engaging our hearts and minds in transcendental loving service of the Lord, worshiping the Lord with our intelligence by reading the sacred scripture by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This Bhagavad Gita text is something that is so spiritual and so sacred and transcendental that if a person is too impure in heart and mind, they will have no attraction and they will be unable to study this book. So we thank our lucky stars that we have the great fortune of being able to place our concentration even for a limited amount of time on this sacred text and attempt to study its contents. We are currently on no chapter. We are on text. We are on page 12 in the introduction. We sing a mantra before we begin reading this text. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please sing it with me 2 more times. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We shall find, therefore, in this Bhagavad Gita that the complete whole is comprised of the Supreme Controller, the controlled living entities, the cosmic manifestation, eternal time, and karma, or activities, and that all of these are explained in this text. All of these taken completely form the complete whole, and the complete whole is called the Supreme Absolute Truth. The complete whole and the complete Absolute Truth are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. All manifestations are due to his different energies. He is the complete whole. It is also explained in the Gita that the impersonal Brahman is also subordinate to the complete. Brahman is more explicitly explained in the Brahma Sutra to be like the rays of the sunshine. The impersonal Brahman is the shining rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Impersonal Brahman is incomplete realization of the Absolute Whole, and so also is the conception of Paramatma in the 12th chapter. There it shall be seen that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushottam, is above both impersonal Brahman and the partial realization of Paramatma. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Satchidananda Vigraha. The Brahma Samhita begins in this way. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the primal cause, and he is the very form of eternal being, knowledge, and bliss. Impersonal Brahman realization is the realization of his Sat being feature. Paramatma realization is the realization of the Chit, eternal knowledge feature. But realization of the personality of Godhead Krishna is realization of all the transcendental features, Sat Chit Ananda, being, knowledge, and bliss, in complete vigraha, or form. People with less intelligence consider the Supreme Truth to be impersonal, but he is a transcendental person, and this is confirmed in all Vedic literatures. Nicho Nichanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. As we are all individual living beings and have our individuality, the Supreme Absolute Truth is also, in the ultimate issue, a person, and realization of the personality of Godhead is realization of all of the transcendental features. The complete whole is not formless. If he is formless, or if he is less than any other thing, then he cannot be the complete whole. The complete whole must have everything within our experience and beyond our experience, otherwise it cannot be complete. The complete whole, personality of Godhead, has immense potencies. How Krishna is acting in different potencies is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. This phenomenal world or material world in which we are placed is also complete in itself, because the 24 elements of which this material universe is a temporary manifestation, according to Shankya philosophy, are completely adjusted to produce complete resources which are necessary for the maintenance and subsistence of this universe. There's nothing extraneous, nor is there anything needed. This manifestation has its own time, fixed by the energy of the Supreme Whole, and when its time is complete, these temporary manifestations will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete. There is complete facility for the small complete units, namely the living entities, to realize the complete, and all sorts of incompleteness are explained due to incomplete knowledge of the complete. So Bhagavad Gita contains the complete knowledge of Vedic wisdom. All Vedic knowledge is infallible, and Hindus accept Vedic knowledge to be complete and infallible. For example, cow dung is the stool of an animal, and according to Smriti or Vedic injunction, if one touches the stool of an animal, he has to take a bath to purify himself. But in the Vedic scriptures, cow dung is considered to be a purifying agent. One might consider this to be contradictory, but it's accepted because it is Vedic injunction, and indeed, by accepting this, one will not commit a mistake. Subsequently, it has been proven by modern science that cow dung contains all antiseptic properties. So Vedic knowledge is complete because it is above all doubts and mistakes, and Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is not a question of research. Our research work is imperfect because we are researching things with imperfect senses. We have to accept perfect knowledge, which comes down, as is stated in Bhagavad Gita, by the parampara, the cyclic succession. We have to receive knowledge from the proper source, the cyclic succession beginning with the Supreme Spiritual Master, Lord Himself, and handed down to a succession of spiritual masters. Arjuna, the student who took lessons from Lord Sri Krishna, accepts everything that he says without contradicting him. One is not allowed to accept one portion of Bhagavad Gita and not another. No. We must accept Bhagavad Gita without interpretation, without deletion, and without our own whimsical participation in the matter. The Gita should be taken as the most perfect presentation of Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is received from transcendental sources, and the first words were spoken by the Lord Himself. The words spoken by the Lord are different from words spoken by a person of the mundane world who is infected with 4 defects. A mundaner, 1, sure to commit mistakes. 2, is invariably illusioned. 3, has the tendency to cheat others. And 4, is limited by imperfect senses. With these 4 imperfections, one cannot deliver perfect information of all-pervading knowledge. Vedic knowledge is not imparted by such defective living entities. It was imparted unto the heart of Brahma, the first created living being, and Brahma, in his turn, disseminated this knowledge to his sons and disciples as he originally received it from the Lord. The Lord is Purnam, all perfect, and there is no possibility of his becoming subjected to the laws of material nature. One should therefore be intelligent enough to know that the Lord is the only proprietor of everything in the universe, and that he is the original creator, the creator of Brahma. In the 11th chapter, the Lord is addressed as Prapitamaha, because Brahma is addressed as Pitamaha, the grandfather, and he is the creator of the grandfather. So no one should claim to be the proprietor of anything. One should accept only things which are set aside for him by the Lord as his quota for his maintenance. There are many examples given of how we are to utilize those things which are set aside for us by the Lord. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning, Arjuna decided that he should not fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. That was his own decision. Arjuna told the Lord that it was not possible for him to enjoy the kingdom after killing his own kinsman. This decision was based on the body, because he was thinking that the body was himself and that his body relations or expansions were his brothers, nephews, brothers-in-law, grandfathers, and so on. He was thinking in this way just to satisfy the bodily demands. He was thinking in this way just to satisfy his bodily demands. Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord just to change this view, and at the end Arjuna decides to fight under the direction of the Lord when he says, Karishye vachanam tava, I shall act according to thy word. In this world, man is not meant to toil like hogs. He must be intelligent to realize the importance of human life and refuse to act like an ordinary animal. A human being should realize the aim of his life, and its direction is given in all Vedic literatures, and the essence is given in Bhagavad Gita. Excuse me. Vedic literature is meant for human beings, not for animals. Animals can kill other living animals, and there is no question of sin on their part. But if a man kills an animal for the satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste, he must be responsible for breaking the laws of nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly explained that there are three kinds of activities according to the different modes of nature: the activities of goodness, of passion, and of ignorance. Similarly, there are three kinds of eatables also: eatables in goodness, passion, and ignorance. All of this is clearly described, and if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then our whole life will become purified, and ultimately we will be able to reach the destination. Sorry, it's getting stuffy in here. The destination which is beyond this material sky. Oh, excuse me. Oh man. Gonna put the air on real quick. Got my little doggy. It's a little messy up in here. Yeah, so we'll stop there for tonight. That's a lot of information. Things that were discussed, Krishna and Arjuna, the modes of material nature. Now, the modes of material nature, this is a common thing that's found when we study the Bhagavad Gita, especially the later chapter. I think it's chapter 14, material nature. Chapter 9 is the most confidential knowledge. Chapter 13, nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. That's what it is. Yeah, I'd like to go over the modes of material nature with you real quick. We're going to keep this class a little shorter this week. So it says here, the activity in the Bhagavad Gita is clearly explained that there are three kinds of activities according to the different modes of nature: the activities of goodness, of excuse me, goodness, passion, and ignorance. I have to turn the truck on. It might be a little loud if I do this. Get the air conditioner going. There we go. This is if we utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, our whole life will become purified, and ultimately we will be able to reach the destination which is beyond this material sky. It goes on to discuss it. So what is that destination? It's called the Sanatan sky. Excuse me. The spiritual sky. So the modes of material nature are covering us over here. The mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. It's like the color, the dark color, the red color, the white color. It's like mixing paint. I'm very covered, by the mode of ignorance, by the mode of passion. I also have some influence in the mode of goodness, which just allow me to engage in transcendental meditation and serving as a takeoff point for the transcendental mode, spiritual mode. So, this Bhagavad Gita as it is has the instructions by which we can attain the spiritual sky. So we should not take this very lightly. We should examine this thoughtfully, carefully. Okay, I'll keep going a little bit. Because what else are we going to do? Take a nap here? That destination is called the Sanatan sky, the eternal spiritual sky. In this material world, we find that everything is temporary. It comes into being, stays for some time, produces some byproducts, dwindles, and then vanishes. That is the law of the material world, whether we use, as an example, this body or a piece of fruit or anything. But beyond this temporary world, there's another world of which we have information. This world consists of another nature, which is Sanatan, eternal. Jiva is also described as Sanatan, eternal, and the Lord is also described as Sanatan in the 11th chapter. We have an intimate relationship with the Lord, and because we are all qualitatively one, the Sanatan Dham, or sky, the Sanatan Supreme Personality, and the Sanatan living entities. The whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to revive our Sanatan occupation, or Sanatan Dharma, which is the eternal occupation of the living entity. We are temporarily engaged in different activities, but all these activities can be purified when we give up these temporary activities and take up the activities which are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. That is called our pure life. Okay, we're going to stop there. It touched on Sanatan Dharma, the eternal occupation of the living entity. It means it's not something you can join, not something you can leave. It's your eternal nature, your eternal occupation. It's like your purpose. People go, I don't know who I am. I don't know what's the meaning of life. This is your meaning. This is the purpose. It gives you fulfillment, satisfaction. You feel, oh, this is my purpose. Me, when I make a good music, for the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord, I feel, oh, this is my purpose in life. When I engage in a devotional service, helping others, I feel like it's those moments, it's like when you feel that you're fulfilling your purpose, it feels like this is the best day of your life, and you're just feeling like you're just overjoyed with good love and emotions and happiness, and you keep reliving the best day of your life over and over again when you engage in devotional service. So that's the meaning of that's the import of the Bhagavad Gita, is that we need to dovetail our will with the Supreme Lord. We need to surrender and engage in His loving service. So how do we do that? We need to study. We need to approach yogis, associate with other yogis, and figure this out. Okay, this is very important that we understand. So please join me next week on Thursday, another Bhagavad Gita as it is class. Okay, feeling a little bit stuffy here this week, so we're going to cut the class early, get a little bit of rest here, and I'll see you next Thursday. Haribol, Namaste.